Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host MattCMG, and if all goes according to plan, this video will be going up on Halloween. It is spooky season after all, and it wouldn't be complete without an extremely rushed MattCMG video on the 31st. I'm a master of my craft, I must say. Now, for the topic of today's video, I might be a little late to this trend because, you know, most people did it like 2 years ago. It's kind of when this trend was popular. But I've always had the idea in the back of my mind for a while now of doing a childhood trauma video where I talk about some things that I saw on TV or in movies or whatever as a kid that stuck with me and just scared the hell out of me. I wasn't gonna do it since I thought it was like a dead trend, but a couple of people on my Discord said they'd be interested in seeing it, so I said, hey, fuck it. Here we go. Let's do it. Without further ado, let's get weird, let's get wild, and let's get right into some of my childhood traumas. We're gonna start this video off with things that were kind of meant to be scary, and then kind of transition down into the stuff that wasn't supposed to be scary, but still scared me anyways. Now, given what I just said, my first one's gonna sound a little bit weird, but bear with me. So, Drake and Josh was one of my favorite shows growing up, and it may seem a little weird to put on the creepier side of things, but the episode in question is Season 3, Episode 16, Alien Invasion. In this episode, Drake and Josh try to get back at their little sister Megan by pranking her into thinking that there are real aliens and that she stumbled upon a real potential alien invasion. To do this, they plant images of a spaceship in her telescope. Don't ask me how the f they did that. They use radios to emulate an alien frequency or alien transmission or whatever, and they even mess with their own house's electrical system to like f with the electricity and the lights to make her think aliens are approaching. It's quite elaborate, and it falls right in line with what you'd seem to expect from Drake and Josh. You know, it's kind of harsh too, because it's like borderline psychological warfare. You know, they're messing with her brain for like a week trying to make her all paranoid, and it works. The icing on the cake though comes from the end of the episode where Drake and Josh get a Hollywood makeup artist to dress them up like aliens so they could come out and scare Megan and just prank her and make her think aliens are real. And it's a pretty funny scene. That is until the real alien appears and scares them shitless. The real alien was, of course, not a real alien. It was just one of Megan's friends in a costume, revealing that she knew all along what Drake and Josh were doing. But if you've seen it for the first time, it's quite convincing. This isn't something that's really scary on any subsequent viewings of the episode, or really at all. But when you're a kid and you've seen it for the first time, it kind of you're like, whoa, I was not expecting that. Real aliens? Jesus Christ. Like, I remember when this episode first came out and like you didn't know that they were supposed to be like, you know, fake aliens at first or whatever. At first you're like, oh geez, there's a real alien? Aliens exist in the Drake and Josh universe? Jesus Jones. Thanks, Dan Schneider, for your multiverse. Even as a kid, this scene was never really scary, but like the implications of it, like when you really think about it, are kind of messed up. Like imagine you try to prank your friend by making him think that Bigfoot is real or something, right? So then you go into the woods and then you end up finding a real Bigfoot, and you're like, oh, that's not me. That's real. We gotta get out of here. It reminds me of that old video, Alien Prank Gone Wrong, where it's pretty much the same thing as this Drake and Josh episode. It's that classic trope storyline, I guess, where characters are constantly saying like, oh, this thing isn't real throughout the entire episode, but then like at the end of the episode it's revealed that it is real, and it's like, oh geez, it's real. This episode is pretty much that, but with a Drake and Josh twist. Like I said before, this one isn't really that scary. I just kind of wanted an excuse to talk about Drake and Josh, so there you go, there's that. Now let's talk about another Nickelodeon show. Some of you may remember it, and most of you probably don't. Let's talk about Tak and the Power of Juju. This was a show based on a video game, the second of which is one of my favorite games of all time. And apparently, there was a show about it. I remember seeing a few episodes back in the day, but I don't remember it ever lasting very long. Apparently, this show was like really popular outside of the States, because this thing was still airing until like 2016 outside of the US. It's crazy. It seems like something that would have gotten canceled after 2 years, but this show just like went on for 9 more. It's weird, it's crazy. Now normally I would rewatch the episode that I'm talking about in this video for this video, you know, just kind of to refresh my memory, but this show is impossible to find, and I refuse to pay for Amazon Prime to watch it. So I'm going from memory on this one. So the episode in question was their Halloween episode, and I remember it being promoted as this big thing in their Halloween promos, which I also cannot find online. From what I remember, in this episode, Jabulba does some weird shaman stuff. I don't know what he does, but he fucking dies, and he turns into a zombie. And then he infects everybody in the Poopanunu village. Yeah, it's a zombie apocalypse episode. The reason this episode scared me as a kid was because the visuals were a little bit too grotesque for what they should really be showing to children. One shot really stuck out to me, and it was when like zombie Jabulba was first kind of revealed. I can't find a screenshot of it online, but from what I remember, it was like Jabulba, our boy Jabulba, right? but his skin, his skin was all gray, his eyes were all f***y, they looked like a zombie, and it sounds like something straight out of a creepypasta, honestly. I'm all for grotesque visuals and stuff like that. I watch The Walking Dead pretty frequently, and there's gore in that show in almost every episode, and I don't have a problem with it, but Zombie Jaboba was probably a little bit too creepy to be shown to kids, if I do say so myself. Chances are I'm probably remembering it wrong, because it's been almost 12 years since I saw the episode, but it was creepy enough to stick in my mind after all that time, so take that as you will. I could probably go and include every Halloween special from every show that I watched growing up, but that would be kind of dumb, because a lot of them weren't actually scary, but this one was a tad creepier than I expected. So this next thing isn't exactly from a show or a movie, but it's rather from a book. Yeah, I used to read books because I used to be a nerd. Now you might be thinking, oh, it's probably Goosebumps or Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, and you'd probably be right because, pretty much everybody had those books as a kid, and they were always pretty scary when you were a kid. But this book was one that a lot of kids probably did not have. I've talked about this rarely on the channel before, but as a kid I was really into like cryptids, Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster, that kind of stuff. I was really into it. I would watch that show Monster Quest, on History Channel, but only for like the CG animations that they showed for like, 2 minutes in the episode, like a true intellectual. Around this time, my parents thought it would be a good idea to buy their 11-year-old, I don't remember how old it was, but like 11-year-old son a 1,000-page book about creatures that probably didn't even exist. There were pictures in the book, so that's what I used it for. I'm not gonna sit there and read 1,000 pages, and today you're not gonna find me reading it all, like I said, because I'm not a nerd. I don't really remember the title or anything about it, so it would probably be a little bit hard to find. But it was like, 1,000 pages, and it had like a big purple cover. It was probably like about yay big. It was kind of crazy. It was pretty much just like the encyclopedia for cryptids. It had everything. It had your Bigfoots, your aliens. It had everything, including the thing that scared me the most, the Flatwoods Monster. If you don't know what that is, I don't blame you. You can look up the story if you want, but it looked like this. And obviously it isn't too child friendly. Well, I guess it kind of is, but it's just not detailed enough to where you think, hey, this could be real. It's vague enough in its design to think, could be real, could be an owl, you never know, I don't know. Especially if you're like young and stupid like I was when I first saw it. It looks like a cartoon witch, and I'm not sure why it freaked me out, but it did, and it's a little obscure, which is why I included it. Now let's get into the ones that weren't meant to be creepy, but still scared me as a kid. This first one doesn't really count as childhood trauma, I guess, since I didn't really notice it until relatively recently, actually. So I'll try to keep this one short, but the Spongebob end credits theme is really unsettling to me now. Even as a kid, I never really liked the song, but now as an adult, it gives me this weird existential feeling that I really don't like, and I think that's part of why I didn't like it as a kid. I think it comes down to the instrumentation, where there's parts of it where like different instruments are playing different notes that don't fully harmonize, so it like messes with our little 8 brains or something, I don't know. Listen to this song and try not to think about death, because for whatever reason, that's what this song makes me think of, and I don't really know why. And it's terrifying. So this next one is actually a little bit weird because I don't actually know which show it was. So back in the day when I was a toddler, old enough to remember but not old enough to fully remember, if you know what I'm saying. I'm thinking probably like 3 or 4 years old maybe, I don't know. But my mom had this routine, right? While she got ready in the morning, she would lock me in my parents' room and put the TV on. She knew that I liked certain shows, like probably Thomas the Tank Engine or something like that, I don't remember. Something to keep my attention for half an hour. But what I do remember is that my mom made it a point to make sure she turned the TV off before this show came on. What show, you may ask? Winnie the Pooh. You heard that correct. A Winnie the Pooh show was what scared me as a toddler. And just because I said Winnie the Pooh, this video is now blocked in China. Topical! You Blizzard. However, I don't know which Winnie the Pooh show it actually was. Now, I was fine with Winnie the Pooh as long as it was 2D animated. I definitely watched Winnie the Pooh when I was a kid. I had like an Eeyore plushie too, Winnie the Pooh was pretty cool. I like Winnie the Pooh, but I did not like this particular iteration. I did not like the 3D iterations of Winnie the Pooh. For the longest time, I was under the impression that this show was CG, but after doing research for this video, I found out there was never a CG Winnie the Pooh. During the time that I was old enough to be watching Winnie the Pooh. The first CG one didn't come out until after I was old enough to not be watching Winnie the Pooh anymore, so I don't know. But in my research, I found 2 shows. There was Welcome to Pooh Corner, which aired reruns up until like 1997, but it may have gone into the early 2000s, you never know. Syndication is weird like that. This show featured like puppet versions or live action guys in suits versions of these characters, and looking at it now, I can see why it would have been unsettling. The other show, and the more likely one in my opinion, since it matches up timeline-wise, was The Book of Pooh. Haha. Ha ha ha, which ran from 2001 to 2004. So this is probably the one, but I can't be 100% sure. This one was all completely made of puppets. They're all puppet versions of these characters, and I don't know why, but I did not like this when I was 3 or 4 years old. I just didn't. I didn't like it. It terrified me to no end, to the point where just the intro theme sent me into a crying fit. On the days where my mom was running late and didn't turn the TV off in time, ooh boy, it was a bad day for her. I am not sorry. Moving on, and I don't know if I'm alone on this one, but the Oompa Loompas scare the hell out of me. So back in the day, my parents decided to show me Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. You know, the old one with Gene Wilder. I'd seen the remake already at that point, so maybe they just wanted to show me the original or something. I don't know. Anyways, fuck Oompa Loompas. I fucking hate them. Even today, that shit is fucking scary. So imagine for a second, right, you go into a restaurant, you know, you sit down, you order your food like normal, but then a bunch of fucking orange midgets come out of nowhere, start cooking your food in front of you like a fucking hibachi restaurant, doing a musical number like hey oh, while you can hear a child being slaughtered in the back room. Fuck that. That's low-key what Oompa Loompas are. I think the reason I don't like Oompa Loompas even today is that they're like super cult-like. Seeing large groups of people doing things in unison is something that just always scares the hell out of me. I don't know why. You know, depending on the context, of course. Oompa Loompas are also completely 100% comfortable with murdering small children. Like, what's his name? Augustus Glue gets his fat ass stuck in a chocolate tube. They just decide to like, well, fuck it. Time to sing. I'm keeping that burp in, I don't even care. Their song itself is also really creepy. The reason I like the 2005 remake of this movie is because the Oompa Loompa songs are at least a little bit catchy. You know, they modernized them a bit and made them like super digestible, and there's, you know, multiple versions. But the original one? No. No. I don't think it's supposed to be creepy, but it sounds like a Halloween song. It just has that kind of vibe. It also kind of sounds like a slave song in a weird way, which makes me think that the Oompa Loompas are there against their will. I don't know. That one's less likely. Like, this is the kind of song I can imagine a serial killer singing to himself while he hides the bodies. No, thank you. Last but not least, let's talk about our boy Jimbus Neutron. Jimmy Neutron is a show that I feel gets a lot of unnecessary shit, even though it was a really good show. Like, the animation might not have aged all that well, but otherwise it still holds up in pretty much almost every other regard. Now, there are a few creepy episodes of Jimmy Neutron. You know, there's the one with the sentient pizza.
The pizza is aggressive.
And there's even a few that deal with the idea of playing God, which it's a little weird. It's a weird show. None of these episodes ever freaked me out, but there was one episode that did, and it wasn't one that was inherently creepy at all. Season 3, Episode 3, The N-Word. I mean, the N-Men. He's gonna say it, just you wait. Carl Weezer is gonna say the N-word. In this episode, Jimmy's friends get superpowers, while Jimmy himself turns into an Oompa Loompa. Those motherfuckers, they're fucking back! Or at least he thinks that. It turns out, Jimmy Neutron is like Bruce Banner. You know, when he gets angry, he turns into this Hulk-like monster and goes into a mindless rage. Now, obviously, this is not inherently creepy, like, at all. But combine a mindless rage monster with 2004 TV budget 3D animation, and the fact that these were awkward character designs to begin with, and a neurotic little fuck like me, and you've got some scary shit. As a kid, anything that went bump in the night really scared me, you know, like vampires, werewolves, Frankenstein, all that kind of shit. You know, your classic movie monsters, if you will. Freaked me out. I don't know why. Like, I used to be so afraid of vampires as a kid that, like, I would not be able to sleep unless I had the back of my neck protected somehow. Like, I would put the blanket over my neck so I wouldn't bite me in the back of the neck and turn me into a vampire. Nowadays, that lifestyle will probably suit me because I don't go outside in the sun, so I'd be down for that. Anyways, but Frankenstein's monster in particular was something that always really freaked me out more than the others. Just the concept of what it is just kind of f***y to me. Like, remember when Cartoon Network made thumb parodies of popular films, you know, like Thumb Wars? I couldn't even watch Franken-Thumb. That's how much it creeped me out. Well, for whatever reason, Hulk Jimmy reminded me of Frankenstein's monster. I don't know why I made that association, but as a result, that episode scared me to the point where I could not sleep some nights. Nowadays, I don't have a problem with either of these things. But as a kid, ooh, that's a big no from me, dog. What's even weirder about this is that I actually liked the Incredible Hulk as a kid. You know, I was really into superheroes, and I thought the Hulk was cool, you know? But instead of realizing, hey, Jimbus Neutron was supposed to be the Hulk, I, for whatever reason, thought, hey, Jimbus Neutron was supposed to be Frankenstein's monster. It's a miracle I have big brain today, because as a kid, I was pretty fucking dumb, as you can see. Hulk Jimmy was something that was not supposed to scare me, but totally did for reasons that were completely internal. Well, that's gonna do it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed listening to me rant about dumb things that freaked me out as a kid. And in the spirit of Halloween, I welcome you all to leave your own childhood traumas and stuff that scared you as a kid in the comments below. I'd love to hear it, because this stuff is kind of fun to talk about. That's all for this video. I've been MattCMG. I'll see y'all next time. Thanks for watching. Happy Halloweener, my friends.